The bye week was great for us because we got to heal in some areas. A lot of players feel better today than they did a week ago, and also we were able to work in a lot of different areas that needed to be corrected. Will and Greg will talk to you about those things a little bit later. It's also fun to sit back and watch college football. It's just so crazy this year, and it seems like it's gotten crazy every year. I'm sitting there watching Auburn nearly get beat at Kentucky, and South Carolina beats Alabama, and LSU beats Florida, and it's just absolutely crazy to see what's going on. Florida State loses bad up at Oklahoma, and they go down and kill Miami. So you just can't tell anymore what's going to happen. And I heard Lou Holtz say a couple of weeks ago that one game doesn't mean that you're going to play well the next just because you play one week. So you've got to get ready to play each week, and kids just have to understand that. It was also fun yesterday watching all of our NFL guys play, and especially the 6 that played in the Cowboy-Titans game. That was fun to watch those guys compete, and I didn't know whether I wanted Roy to catch the touchdown and score or Vince to bring them back and score. So I was really confused, and that's why when it gets to our NFL guys, we do not pull for teams. We just pull for the guys that are playing, and hopefully that they play well. Coaches and players aren't happy at where we are right now. Had a tough couple of weeks, and another challenging week this week with Nebraska as we get ready to go to Lincoln. But they worked really, really hard in the open date to try to prepare to get the things better and play a complete game, because that's what we need to do. And also our coaches had a super week in recruiting. They got to go out and see a lot of players and could go out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, so that still helped us. We still haven't played together as a complete team for a game yet. We've gotten pieces together, but we haven't played our best, and that's still out there, and hopefully that's coming. We'll need to do that this weekend. We've been 12-0 after the Oklahoma games, but this is a bigger test than a lot of those weeks. There's been a lot of talk about Nebraska leaving the Big 12 and the possible tension between Texas and Nebraska. No one in our administration has ever come to me and said anything negative about Nebraska. So I really don't feel that tension, and even if there was tension between the two universities, there wouldn't be any of it that would filter down to the coaches of the players, because that's not it's not our deal. It's not what we are interested in and worried about. We're only looking at each other from a standpoint of playing, and we've got great respect for the coaches at Nebraska. They're friends. We have great respect for their team, and we also have great respect for their fans. It's a great place, and it's one of the special places to coach and play in college football. I can't even really think about the fact that we probably won't be going there, especially in the near future, because the games aren't scheduled, and most of our games are scheduled through 2021 or something. So unless it's in this year's championship game, or unless it's in a bowl game, I don't think we'll see Texas and Nebraska playing for a long time. And that's a shame, with two of the winningest programs in college football history, that they will not be matched up. And it's been a fun rivalry and a good rivalry. And I even thought that Nebraska would come back here next year, and that's not going to happen now. So this looks like the last game outside of championship or bowl game for a long time. You have to give their team credit. They've played really well. But people ask why I've always liked Nebraska. I think their fans are great. They're knowledgeable. They love their team. They love football, and they've always been gracious about a great game. And I think that's something that a lot of people could look at and try to follow, because Nebraska's done it right for a long time. There's never a seat available in that stadium. They come early, they stay late, and they love their team. And that's something that you have to give them credit for. And like Coach Royal for me, Coach Osborne's been a role model for me for many years. I've watched him. I've visited with him through the years. He's a great friend, and also a guy that we've patterned a lot of the things that we do today after some of his teams in Lincoln. When you look at the Nebraska team right now, you look at what they did at Washington. That wasn't a win. That was a dominating win. And then the same thing happened the other night at Kansas State. So they've gone on the road and played two really good teams, and they've beaten them badly. And then it scares you to think that Washington beat USC the next week in the last seconds. And as you're looking at Nebraska, it could be the best team in the country by the end of the year. They have improved so much since last year, and Bo Pelini's done just a great job coaching, he and his staff. They took what they had they had a great defense at midseason last year, and it kept getting better and better, and we saw it in the conference championship game, but they struggled on offense. And now what they've done is brought in Taylor Martinez, number 3, and he had 369 yards himself, 241 yards rushing against Kansas State. So he's done for their offense what Vince did for ours. Now the backs are starting to get a lot more yards. You look at Halu Jr. He has gotten over 100 yards 3 of the last 4 games. And he and Rex Burkett are both very, very good football players. And now they're one of the best offenses in the country. They're second in the nation in rushing. They're averaging 337 yards a game. They're 7th in total offense, nearly 500 yards a game. They're 9th in scoring with 41.6 points per game. They're 26th with their passing efficiency at 152.6. Versus Kansas State, Nebraska had 4 scoring drives of 5 plays or less. They've had 17 scoring drives of 5 plays for less this year, which shows you just how explosive they really are. On defense, we knew they were good to start the year. They're number 1 in pass efficiency defense. They're number 1 in pass defense. They're 4th in scoring defense, giving up 13 points per game. They're 12th in total defense, giving up 275 yards per game. They're 22nd in third down efficiency at 32%. They're led by number 4, Levante David. He had 16 tackles against Kansas State. He's had 35 tackles over the last 2 weeks, and he's had 60 tackles for the year. Their place kicker and punter, named Alex Henry, he is one of the best in the country also. He's averaging 44 yards per punt. He's made only 4 field goals because that's all they've had to kick. And he's also in a position where he's gotten 28 of 28 extra points. And Niles Paul, number 24, is a great punt returner that we saw return a kick against us, which nearly was a game changer last year. Since 1998, we've played 8 times against Nebraska, and only 2 of the games have been decided by more than 4 points. 6 of the 8 games have been decided by 17 points, or an average of 2.8 points per game. And the 3 in Lincoln have been 9 points difference, and none of them have been more than 4 points. It's also the first time since we had the back-to-back Oklahoma State and Texas Tech top-ranked teams that we've played 2 ranked teams in the top 10 like Oklahoma and Nebraska. I think Oklahoma's 5th or 6th and Nebraska is 5th. We practiced this morning. We flexed at 5:45, so we were out there early. It was open. I didn't see any of y'all there. Y'all didn't get the message, Bill? What the? But John Childs, who only played 10 plays last week against Oklahoma, is probable for the game, and Mike Davis is probable as well. So hopefully we can get some of our receivers back. Questions?
Coach, when you face Martinez and this offense, it's so different from what you've seen over the last few weeks. The biggest key, is it just back to the basics? It's different fronts you show them, or is it just stopping Martinez?
I think you have to start with him because he can win the game. And now what's happened is all the other guys are opening up. The 2 running backs that couldn't get free much last year are now getting 100-yard games. They're making big plays, and Martinez can throw it. People aren't talking about his passing efficiency, but he can do both. He's been a game changer for them, and he's shown so much composure as a freshman.
Coach, their defense was so good last December. They've lost several players, of course, Sue, of course, but how have they changed otherwise? Are they basically the same?
They are basically the same. They haven't changed very much at all. They're very aggressive with their defense, and not that they blitz a lot, but they line up and do what we call match. And they're going to have your guy take their guy's going to take your guy. He's going to have him all over the field. So that's why they're shutting down everybody's passing attack. I think Washington's great quarterback. They all say he's a number 1 draft pick, maybe the best quarterback in the country, was 6 of 20, I think. So they make it very, very difficult because they can get pressure on you with 4. Their linebackers are more in the 200-pound to 210 range that can really run with your backs and tight ends and wide receivers, and then their corners can really cover. So it's very, very difficult to get people open.
Their defense plays a lot differently than Oklahoma.
Yes. Oklahoma is much more multiple than Nebraska. It's good and bad. The bad part is you have to wait another 2 weeks to have a chance to play. So it's the pain of losing stays with you. So it's a very difficult thing. It's not like basketball and baseball. You can play on Tuesday and play again on Thursday and play on Saturday and play on Sunday and get you another 4 next week, and you can get it fixed easier. The good thing for us is we needed to heal. We had three very physical games with Texas Tech, UCLA, and Oklahoma. Very emotional game, 2 of those 3. And then we also had some things we need to fix. So we went back to work and are trying to do a better job with the things that haven't been done well. It's funny, parts of our kicking game have been good, but they haven't all been good on the same day. I was just thinking about our punt block and punt return team's been so good throughout the years, and we've given up 21 points and haven't scored any on that team. So there's some fundamentally sound things that we need to fix, and hopefully a lot of those got fixed because Nebraska can sure expose you if you don't play well. Well, it's little things. Coaches are at a real disadvantage when they sit at a 15-minute press conference and people want to know how all the offensive line played and what changes did we make on defense. Now, you really can't get into some of those things anyway because we don't want to say what we've changed for Nebraska. And then secondly, it's hard to explain it in a soundbite, and that's what people expect. It's a difficult thing to do. That's where we get the terms coach speak.
Depending on each other, but this is a pretty big stretch. Can you just expand more on that and how you mentally approach that sort of thing? Because you can't pay attention too much to what's happened already.
One more time now. Help me a little bit.
Is this game stretch as connected as it appears, or is there anything to the fact that it's a tough stretch when you're talking about OU, Nebraska, and
Yes, I think it's very similar to the 4 games we had back in 2008. It was Oklahoma, Missouri, Oklahoma State, and Tech. And 2 of those were ranked in the top 8, I think, at that time. So going to Tech's tough regardless of whether they're playing well or not. It's an emotional game, a tough trip. UCLA obviously surprised us, and we didn't play well, but it was a physical game, and we got beaten up in it. And then you have the emotional and physical game with Oklahoma last week, and now pulling up with a Nebraska team that I said is maybe as good as anybody in the country. So what we will do, this will be the last game of the first season. It's mid-season. It'll be 6, and then we'll start over next week. And our guys understand that because they're running option and they're doing some new things, we like the fact that we had 10 days to prepare because you need that with this look. And not only do you have trouble preparing with his speed, he makes everybody else better on their football team, and especially the offensive side. So it has been a tough stretch, but it's a stretch that should make us grow up and make us be better too. We're not going to play better teams than last week and this week.
Coach, on the offensive side of the ball, you talked about the inconsistencies. When you look back at the beginning of the year and the offense you wanted to implement, is that still the goal that's out there, or have you had to change kind of what the ultimate goal is as it's gone along?
Yeah, I think some people have totally gone off the end of the road with what offense we wanted to implement. All we ever said was we'd like to have more balance with our running game. That was it, and it got huge. Like I said, I shouldn't have said anything about it, but because it gives everybody something to yell at when you're losing, and that hasn't changed. We are running the ball better than we were at this time last year. We're not running it near where we'd like to. But as far as being balanced, that's what we'd like to do, and that's our goal still, and we're not there right now. And we've been back to the same offense probably for the last 3 or 4 weeks that we ran all last year and throughout Colt's career, so we haven't changed anything. We just like to run it better.
Mack, the last few years, I think your teams always believe they're going to win regardless. Is there a fear now that it's kind of flipped because these guys aren't used to struggling like they had the last 2 games?
That's something that there's so many on the team that it's hard to say. I'm sure that some of the young ones may be worried about that a little bit. Some of the old ones know they can win. I told them last night when they got back for our team meeting that if they looked at all on Saturday, winning's really hard. I mean, Florida's lost 2 in a row. I mean, it's hard to win, and sometimes we take that for granted. And as players and coaches, we cannot take that for granted. We've got to go back and do the things we need to do to ensure that we get back on track and not take any win for granted. We've been griping about wins around here as coaches and players for a long time. After you lose two, you're not going to gripe about a win again.
Do you see the want to from your players?
Yes, they're really, really trying. And I think that's part of growing up. You know, I was a little bit worried because you've got some older guys on this team and some young ones that are playing, and you never know how they're going to mesh. And we always say it in preseason, but people don't know how their team's going to respond until you get in the fourth quarter in a tight game. And like we said, I liked how we responded out at Tech. I didn't like it at UCLA. I liked the second half of the way we played last week. I didn't like the first half. So it's a team that's growing up, and that we just need to grow up fast.
Do you like this position that very few people are saying you've got a chance to win this week? You're 8.5-point underdogs, and it's all Nebraska and little talk about Texas.
Yeah, I'm surprised anybody said it, Ed. I hadn't heard anybody say it. So you said very few. That means there's some hope out there. It must have been Sally and you. There's two of us, Ed, that would do that. You know, we haven't been an underdog around here in a long time. I guess Alabama was one of the few for the last few years, maybe in '08 against Oklahoma, and we've been an underdog the last 2 weeks now in a row. So it's new for us. I don't like it. It means you're not playing very well.
Max, has there been a moment or two in the last couple of weeks, or the last week, I guess, that you've seen this team grow up, or you've seen somebody make that step as a leader, or give a speech or something to kind of get everybody on?
You can do things in practice, and you can have speeches, and you can have player meetings, and you can do all that, but until you produce on the field, they're not effective. And that's what we've told the guys. You can do it, but you got to do it on TV in front of a national scene to win a game that we're in trouble with, to step up and be the strong leader that you need to be. And that's what we're asking the guys to do. Who's going to step up on Saturday at 2:30? They can be. They had a great practice this morning. They're all excited about going, and we've told them that it's going to be a hard-fought game, and you can't play it on Monday. You can't play it on Tuesday, but make plays during the game to change the momentum of the game. And then we can stand up and say, you have become the leader. And that's something that we saw inconsistently from Tech up through Oklahoma. So it's something that we've got to do on a stronger basis here for the rest of the year to be successful.
Coach, last year there was talk from Colt. Colt talked about the pressure, not only from the outside, but the pressure he put on himself. How's Garrett right now, you think, through 5 games on himself and where you want him to be?
I think Garrett's fine. He's smart. He's tough. He grew up in football. He understands that at Texas you need to win games, and he understands that he's going to be scrutinized as the quarterback. We told him that before he got here, and he was here when everybody gave up on Vince Young and said move him to receiver or free safety. I mean, he sat in the stands and watched Missouri where we took him out, and he was out of here. I mean, he should never play again. We should play Chance Mack. He watched the Chris Sims, Major Applewhite stuff. He watched Colt. There were times in Colt's first and second year that people said he'll never be tough enough to win the game. I get all those emails and calls and stuff. So I think that his demeanor is really good in that the only thing that's important to him is winning. He's not sensitive. He's not worried about perception of people. He does want to continue to win like the great quarterbacks before him here, and that's something that it's on my plate, it's on his plate, it's on Greg Davis's plate. I mean, all of us have to pick it up here on offense.
Mack, as much respect as you have for Nebraska, can you speak to walking out of that stadium 3 straight times with a win? I mean, they're not used to seeing the same team continually sit at home.
No, I would think that it's more walking out of there after 3 great games. Those things are unbelievable. I mean, the Ricky game I'll never forget because it 47 straight wins, and he had a great night against just a super black shirt defense, and I've said it many times, but to be there after the game, the ABC interview, and walking off the field and have those fans, all who stayed, give an opposing player a standing ovation is something I've never seen before, and I don't think I'll ever see again. Is the most amazing moment to me in sportsmanship I've ever seen. I was in the dressing room and called Coach Royal from the dressing room, and I'll never forget. He said, we need to get our fans to be that way. And I said, Coach, ours are booing me. I mean, they're not worried about the other team yet. We need to get through that so we can move forward. And then the second game up there was unbelievable. The last moments of the game where they called a push off with Roy Williams, and I'll never forget, the official couldn't find his flag. He dropped it. So they've moved the chains. We've huddled up, and the flag comes out. And I asked him where the flag had been, and he said, I lost it. I couldn't find it. So he threw it out there late. And then we have a short punt. They return it nearly for a touchdown, and then Frank, trying to be aggressive, goes for the score to win the game. And Nathan Vasher intercepted the ball in the corner with 3 seconds left. And then the last one with Ryan Bailey, I think that we kicked it with 25 seconds and had 22 left, and that one was after they fumble. They make the first down, fumble the ball. We get it. We start moving it, and we fumble it, and Casey Studdard sprints down the field and dives on it to save it. And then our kicker's got a pull growing, so poor Ryan Bailey's on the sideline, and most of our players didn't know who he was. And I'll never forget Greg Davis saying, should we try to score, or is field goal right? And I just said, go ahead and try to score. Because I didn't know what Ryan would do when he got out there, and he kicks it right down the middle into a snowstorm to win the game. But even after that, they get it to midfield. They're throwing it deep the last play of the game, and we hit Brian Arakpo hits the quarterback late, and they get another throw into the end zone. So all of these games have just been unbelievable games that have been great for college football.
Okay, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.